Bad light. I just hit live and one of the lights goes on and off. Okay. All right. It's kind of been the week, with the big giant snowstorm craziness that's been going on throughout, the Midwest, the Northeast, and where we've been. So, Sergio, how you doing? Hope you had a good Christmas.
Yes.
Welcome to Show Me the Money Club, everybody. Thank you for joining. We are coming to you. This is the last show of the year. So we're going to have kind of a 2022 wrap up with the gig economy, kind of our 2023 predictions. We're going to be answering your questions, going over some comments, going over some emails, a couple of different things there when it comes down to it. So, Sergio, how you doing, first off?
Great. Santa was good, I guess, because I spent a whole bunch of money. I don't know. I was like, why is it that even the gifts I get is bought with my money? I don't know. That's, I don't envy you guys. You sent me a couple of pictures of your backyard. I was like, holy crap. And then in honor of you, I took a picture of my backyard exactly 2 days ago. And that's my backyard. So I'm like, poor Chris, and I hope he doesn't get cut off, because if you do, I don't know what to do.
Well, the big thing is, when it comes down to it, what I sent you was not my backyard. It was one of the main roads, though, where there were a bunch of people driving. And if anybody knows anything about snow and wind, is if you have some snow and it falls quickly, like lake effect snow likes to do, you're going to get stuck very quickly. And you add 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts, sustained. It was like, around 40 miles. And everybody was like, oh, it's a Category 1 hurricane. No, it was not a Category 1 hurricane. We had wind gusts that hit around 79 miles an hour, but nothing that was like a true Category 1 storm. So it's like some jackass schmo on the report updates said it's like they were talking about like the equivalent of a Category 3 hurricane, and oh man, I was losing it. So it was a bad little storm, especially around being Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. But the crazy thing is, you look at these different apps. So I am on Uber and Lyft and Spark, and Spark shut down. Like, you're not ordering, or there's nothing going on. And so they shut down. Uber and Lyft, you could still go online. And the best part was, you could not drive in, Erie County, Niagara County, like the 5 counties of Western New York. You really couldn't go out and drive at all. And they were offering like $275 flat surge. And I think the highest was like 11, but still, it's, to put out that, not worth it. People got stuck in their cars. They got, a few people unfortunately froze to death in their cars.
Yeah.
Just not good. So yeah, I mean, other than that, everybody's safe besides, so hopefully.
I mean, with that snow and 275 surge, that's what you do, Chris. See that? I got it on top of my head this week, baby.
Oh, no. I didn't even go out. I looked at the app and I laughed. I'm like, there's no effing way. So I just hunkered down and we stayed in. Unfortunately, or luckily, we didn't lose power like some other unfortunate people did. They lost power for a couple of days, and it was like 0 degrees outside, so it was cold. And I walked across the street to go to the lake and take a little bit of video, just for the 15-second video that I had my hand out. My hands were freezing cold, and I actually got brain freeze just because how cold that is in the wind. No, not good. All right, good job. Go Buffalo. That was a great game on Christmas Eve. Got to say, go Bills. They won against the Chicago Bears this week, and they just clinched the AFC East division. So congrats to them. And should be
Buffalo
a pretty
Bears, man. Let me tell you something. I looked at their now that Super Bowl is going to be coming closer. I'll be interested in football. So if you bet on Buffalo every single time this year, you would have made out a lot better than the stock market or Tesla, for sure. So,
Yeah.
they covered again this week. You know what I mean? So even if the points are a lot, I mean, you can't go against the team that's on a roll, man. So we'll
No,
see.
there's quite a few teams that are on a roll too. I think though that
Yeah,
they have I think they got the longest win streak right now,
yeah,
besides maybe Philly.
yeah.
But don't quote me because I'm pulling that number out my ass. But all right, so
Uh,
yeah, where do you want to get started? Actually, you know what? Before
you
we get
announce the
into
winners,
that,
baby.
well, let's get into the winners. Yes, we had a little bit of a giveaway. So this was the giveaway right here, the Lean Clean, the little vacuum attachment that you could attach to pretty much all vacuums that you find at car washes, gas stations, so you can get in the nooks and crannies of everything. Big thing is you want to keep your car clean. This is a great little attachment. I was able to use it once so before the storm. So I took it to the vacuum place that's at the gas station right down the street to try it out. And, it gets a pretty good suction. It really depends too on the vacuum that you're using. But yeah, it's a pretty good little thing. So I got some of the little nooks and crannies. So we had 5 units to give away. Actually, we're going to be able to give 6 away. So we have 6 winners. And essentially, it was basically the most rides given for Uber and Lyft for the week of 12/12 and 12/19. So what you can see is Brian from Indianapolis, William from Baltimore, Raghav, if I screwed that up, I'm apologizing right now, from Denver, Jeff from Lake Tahoe, Kyle from Los Angeles, and Nick from Madison. Congratulations, you are our winners. You did well, and you will be receiving an email later on today talking about how to get this. So look for that email, and if you don't answer within the 48 hours from when the show ends, which will be about 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Eastern Standard, 3 p.m., or I'm sorry, 5 p.m. Being light. You got somebody over there?
No, not that I know of.
I don't know. I heard a little doorbell going off there. So
Did you? Oh,
yeah.
are you having a stroke?
Oh no. All right. Either way, yeah. So congratulations to our winners, and you will be receiving an email just after the show ends. So please respond back with what you need to in order to claim that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, are these? Am I supposed to be emailing these people, or we have the Amazon
Yes,
gift codes, right? So.
yes, you'll have to email them and get their addresses, and then we'll be able to go from there.
Oh. Okay. All right.
All right, so today's kind of a little bit different of a show. We are going to be doing, like I say, the wrap up of 2022, kind of what's gone on the past year. Some big things that happened in the gig economy, mostly Uber and Lyft with their upfront pay and upfront fares. So we're going to be talking about a little bit of that. We're going to be talking about some other things. 2023, we're going to be answering questions. So if you guys got any questions or anything like that, make sure you put them in the comments. We're going to talk about them throughout the show. And yeah, we're going to be going over some comments and emails. But first,
I saw something already. It says gas surcharge going January 3rd. There you go.
yep, yeah. So where'd you see that?
Right
So I
there,
can
IQ
highlight.
boy. IQ boy
Huh?
says gas surcharge going January 3rd. We
Oh
were
yeah,
going to talk about that, weren't we?
that was actually what I was just about to bring up. Yes.
Oh,
So
yeah,
Lyft
ahead
a
of us,
little
man.
while ago decided to get rid of the fuel surcharge, even though gas prices were still staying high and spiking in California for some reason versus the rest of the country. I never saw that spike, so I'm happy gas has actually gone down. And Uber decided that on January 3rd, they are going to end the fuel surcharge. So no more 55-cent extra. Will you notice that on your upfront fares? No, I guess time will tell. But, I got to give them props here. Usually we're always calling them out, but I'm going to give them props for the fact that they kept it going until gas started getting back under control. And also that they're doing it after the first of the year. So all the parties on New Year's Eve, going in New Year's Eve morning, New Year's Day morning, you're going to be able to claim that extra 55 cents all the way up until next Monday,
Yeah.
January 3rd. So I got to give them a little bit of props there instead of just saying, "Hey, we're ending it now." So for
Yeah.
those drivers who are going out for this weekend, you're going to be able to claim that a little bit longer, and then after that, unfortunately, they are getting rid of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on the short trips, the 55 cents made a difference, to be honest with you, because
Mhm.
the minimum fare on Lyft in LA is 262, and on Uber it's 327. Believe it or not, I can't even fathom those numbers. $2.62. That's obviously from pickup to drop off, but I mean, come on, that's maybe like any trip under 2 miles is considered minimum fare in LA. So I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, 55 cents was something for those short trips, right? But once that's gone, I mean, granted, gas is down to under $4 in California, in LA anyway, which is
Under
great.
3 here. I filled
Yeah,
up I
well,
filled up
yeah,
the other day for 287.
yeah,
So,
yeah. But I mean, it's you guys never went that high, but we had the little spike and going up. So
mhm.
yeah, that's going to be gone. But I think it was me or you. We said it last week. That that. I mean, I'm surprised that it lasted 2 months longer than Lyft's did anyway. So,
Yeah.
and then actually, I guess it's a good thing that they're putting it all the way through New Year's Eve, right? Supposedly the biggest day of the year. I don't know. We'll talk about that, a little bit later, going, in our forecast maybe. Every year, New Year's has been worse and worse. This year, I don't think it's going to be any different because there are so many drivers out.
Mhm.
Oversaturation is going to hurt everybody as usual. But again, that's going to be my New Year's resolution for everybody. I've been doing that for 7 years anyway. So that, people, should be your New Year's resolution. It
Yep.
may be, know your worth does not just mean for rideshare. Know your worth means in anything that you're doing. Whatever you're doing, are you worth that or are you worth more? Which in rideshare's case, it should be worth more than what you guys are getting because everybody keeps complaining. And then, I mean, I don't want to keep complaining, but reality is reality, right? So to me, decline garbage, and New Year's Eve, hopefully that's the night to cherry pick for you guys because according to all the pundits, it should be the hottest night of the year because why? Two things. Last two New Year's hasn't been good because of the pandemic, right? So this year is
Mhm.
the first year that everybody is going to get out. No pandemic worries. It should be bleeding in every single
Well,
city.
maybe in California, but, for a lot of the country, this past, 2021 to 2022, there were quite a bit of parties going on and stuff.
Yeah,
So, again, California was a whole different beast when it came to all that crap.
yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, 55 will be gone. Back to normal business. Um, if you depended on the 55, I don't think you're at the right place to start with. So
No, it's just a
I'm
nice
like,
little bonus though with the gas because you can
yeah,
put that towards gas and then be like, "Oh, okay, this works."
yeah. I mean,
So,
if you just did a lot of short trips, yeah, it made a lot of sense. It's 15% on 327. 55 cents is 15%.
mhm.
Nothing wrong with that. But now now upfront fares are going to look worse because 55 cents is going to be taken out of it now.
Alright, so
So
Tyler put on, benefits of using iPad mini for Uber driving. Honestly, probably the only benefit you might have using an iPad
eyesight,
mini is it's gonna be larger than a phone.
yeah,
That's really about it. Unless you have the iPad, Pro or an iPad Air with the M1 or M2 chips, it's not really gonna do much because you can't use Sidecar, which is where you can multi-app. So, like, I have the iPad Pro, which has the M1 chip, and
yeah,
I can open up both Uber and Lyft, and then even a third app. So if I want to drive Spark, or if I could actually get off of Curry's waiting list and drive there, you could have them all on uh, at that point. So the other
yeah,
thing too is if you have cell service on that iPad Air, I'm sorry, on the iPad Mini versus not. If you don't, you're gonna have to tether off your phone. So that's a couple of things there versus having it directly go right to the iPad instead of tethering.
yeah.
so you can get some connection issues and errors and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So do you want to hit some of these questions, or do you want to go through our list and then do a mix? What do you want to
Sure.
do?
I mean, if you see a couple of questions,
Yeah.
let's hit it,
So
and then we'll go
I
right
saw
into
a
our
couple. I
22,
saw a
22 wrap
couple.
up.
Yeah, I saw a couple. So good actually suggestion for New Year's Eve if you're going to drive specifically after midnight. Barf bags. The fenestrator, the professor suggested that. Great idea. Please go pick up a dozen or more. Put it all over your back seat because people will puke. And there was one here. There was actually a really good one. Upfront fare seems to mean, that's by Robert Raleigh. Upfront fare seems to mean Uber Lyft cannot use the phrase "we are a tech company." They are clearly transportation company. I don't know. It's a technicality. They're not going to admit that they are, even with the new TOS. Well, the existing TOS, they're just saying that they're just an agent. They run a platform, and we use the platform. The passenger uses the platform, and then all kinds of stuff. So, look, they will, I think, never admit that they're a transportation company. Clearly, I think they are.
Weezu, thanks for the super chat. Crying out loud, give the lift a like,
Hey, we
give the
Zoom.
gift of like, and hit the like people button. Yeah,
He's one
smash
of
the
our
like button.
winners. WeZoom is one of our winners.
Oh,
Of the link.
congratulations.
Yeah,
That's what I thought it was when I saw
yeah.
there. So congrats.
Kyle. Yeah. So there was another good comment. It goes, wonder what Prop 22 garbage is going to look like after the minimum wage goes up here in California next month. If Prop 22, that's by Mr. Gambit, if Prop 22 is ruled unconstitutional by the 3-judge panel, which they'll make their decision probably in the next 30 to 45 days, because all the hearing is complete, all the comments are done. If they declare it unconstitutional, Prop 22 is gone. So if they don't and Prop 22 stays, the minimum wage that you receive under Prop 22 is going to go up commensurately. So I don't think much is going to change. And let's answer one more, and then we can get into our song and dance. A lot of people say driving for Uber is a Muppet show. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Back from New York City before they made money. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if you see anything, put it up. Full dash closure. That's a good one. They run a transportation company on the Capitol.
Here you go. Here's one right here. My question is, why drive for peanuts when you can work at McDonald's?
Good question.
That's actually a good question, because that's the truth. I mean, a lot of places are, hiring. You could be working at McDonald's $15, $17 an hour. You're not putting any mileage on your car. You're not doing a lot when it comes to additional costs associated when it comes to driving, which we talked about last week, and we're going to continue talking about with our driver education, knowing your costs and all that. And that kind of is, the thought process behind it. What if driving is only netting you really $7, $10 when you could go to McDonald's, when you could go to Starbucks, when you could go to anywhere else and make more than that standing around and working at that particular job? And that's one thing that people are going to have to figure out instead of not. And one of the other things that it comes down to is the flexibility of when you can go online and offline. So if you're just doing this, an hour or two before work and after work, if you're doing it in between when your kid goes to school, if you're doing it for different reasons, well, then at that point, it might seem better to continue driving, even though you might not be making the best. That means you need to figure out how to make more, whether that's more apps, whether that's being smarter behind the wheel, whether that's declining garbage and knowing your worth. There's a lot of things there, but yeah, I mean, that is one of the things too, is if you're not making enough money, then you need to know about that and figure that out. And my suggestion to you is, if you can make money going to a part-time job, a full-time job doing there, it would be smarter to do that. That's my thoughts.
I mean, I agree with you 100%. Like, we got to call it the way we see it, right? And to me, the most important thing is is, we started our education series last week. We're going to continue in the New Year's. We just want you to understand what your costs are. If your costs are high, rideshare is not a feasible situation at the moment. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you guys, right? And it is at its, depending on the city that you're driving, obviously, maybe Chicago is great, LA may be okay, San Francisco may be okay, but then a lot of cities, like major cities too, especially in Florida, there's a massive oversaturation of drivers. Maybe you should go stand somewhere for 18, 20 bucks an hour. So to me, yeah, the people in New Year's have to make some really difficult choices, because flexibility and freedom does not pay your bills. Last time I checked, if I sent my check to the bank for the mortgage and it says flexibility, will you take flexibility for in case instead of money? They go, no, we're going to foreclose. So to me, everybody has to make a tough choice. I mean, these companies sold flexibility and freedom amazingly well, and it's stuck. But now reality hits. Inflation is here. People are not making as much as they were making before. So, and inflation is chewing up into those earnings, and you guys got to make that choice on your own. We're not going to tell you to do it or not to do it, but we're definitely going to try to teach you how to figure out what your cost is. So then you can make a, reasonable and smart decision to continue rideshare or not, or not just rideshare, just the gig economy in general, because I think we shouldn't just be, blaming rideshare and saying do it and don't do it. Yeah, there are a lot of good questions, man, but I don't know.
Here's one more. I think this is what's the best measure of a decent ride, a dollar a mile. And first off, I think the biggest thing is it's going to come down to what your costs are as a driver. So that's a big thing. You need to know what your costs are. So you need to know where your break-even point is. What is your costs? You need to answer that question. If you don't answer that question, you're driving blind essentially. So figure that out, and then you can actually figure out and gauge what is going to be a good measure for you, your area, your market, how busy things are. I mean, $1 a mile is good, but don't forget about time at that point. So, you're kind of going to want to add a little bit more. It just depends on how you're figuring your costs out and whether you're doing it per mile, per time, both, whatever it might be. So,
I mean, look, it's you got to be honest with yourselves. We're here to help you understand. We're here to figure out your profitability matrix. We're here to figure out all of this stuff. Talk to you about glitches and all this stuff, right? We're here to inform and educate. The decision has to be ultimate. Look, we're all adults. Nobody's putting a gun to our head to drive for these companies just because you can turn the app on and off anytime you want. Those are the good. I mean, when I talk about my 23 forecast, I want to say this. I mean, it's going to be a tough winter, and hopefully recession is not too deep. Economy, doesn't suffer too much, and people still spend money ordering food and ordering trips to, for rideshare. But, if demand slows down and everybody's scrambling to make a couple hundred extra bucks a week, it's going to be a tough situation. And that's when, W-2 may be an interesting choice. I wouldn't have said that 5 years ago, 4 years ago, but now it's reality. So I think, to me, the most important thing is stay honest with you guys, stay true. And you have to do that yourself. You have to stay honest, be honest with yourself. I mean, you have to look at your numbers. If after all your expenses, if you're grossing less than minimum wage in your city, I don't see a reason for you continuing doing this and then wearing out your car for no reason whatsoever, because it's not public service. It's not charity. We need to make money. As much as a lot of people say, well, yeah, this is that, but no, you need to be profitable, just like any other business that you may be in, your own small business. That's it. So I have a question. How long does the go to my website? There's a cost calculator. Okay, you guys can go to his website, check that out. I think everybody's is different. Everybody's costs are different, and there are simplest way you guys figure out your cost is, take the 62.5 cents a mile, multiply all the miles you drove, and then figure out your net. If your net is not there, it's not there. When
are we going to see the cost calculator? We're working on it. It's going to take a little bit of time to actually get it, but I mean,
again, just as Sergio said,
You know,
We'll have something up the first week, you know. We'll have something up the first week to 10 days of the new year, because it has to be simple enough for everybody to use, because a lot of people are scared using Excel and Google Sheets and this and that, right? So it has to be simple enough that you just enter basic numbers and then it throws a number out to you, and that's your cost. So what else? Let's see. Do you think Uber's going to win against the drivers in New York? Against, you mean the pay hike? No, I think that it's going to go through. It's just a temporary hold, in my opinion only. Um,
All right. Well,
yeah,
let's
okay. All right.
continue with
Let's
your
see.
questions, and we're going to get to them. What we're going to do is we're going to kind of get into the 2022 wrap up and kind of go over what's happened this past year, some of the big notable things. If there's some notable things that you can remember or whatnot, drop them in the comments as well too. So first off, one of the big things that happened in 2022 that I didn't think was going to happen anytime soon was upfront fares and upfront pay for both Uber and Lyft, knowing the
Yeah.
pick up and drop off destinations, the distance. I mean, being able to see, how much you're going to make on the trip. Obviously, the whole decoupling of time and distance versus this hoopla that you have to dance through in order to figure out how much you're going to get made or how much you're going to get paid.
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the biggest things that's happened in 2022.
Yeah, it's the biggest thing that I remember my last 7 years. I mean, in California, we had it on and off, but to have it now for good, I think look, I don't think anybody can say anything bad about seeing the destination up front. I
No.
mean, I'm not going to BS that, right? That's what the drivers have been asking. Now, we've done a few shows last couple of weeks. Is it in exchange for a rate cut? It looks like it at the moment. Especially on long trips, for sure. If you're a person doing Excel trips or X trips only and taking long trips, it's really, really going to be difficult. There's no doubt that it's a rate cut on that end, but on the short end, will all the short trips do rebalance that one big long trip you're going to do? That's going to, even everything out. That's what the CEOs are saying. I'm not buying it. But seeing the destination, as a rideshare driver, there is zero complaints about that. I mean, if you complain about that, then I definitely think you're in the wrong business. I definitely think you
Yeah.
should go stand somewhere.
I think you need to go back to the drawing board and figure out a different plan.
Yeah,
Just
plan
because,
B, C, D,
you
E, D, E, yeah.
yeah, because I mean that's the whole thing. Like we talked about 3 Ps before, with the plan being one of them, and it's just helping you be able to figure out your plans. So let's say a certain night that you go out or day that you go out, where things are going to be busy or not. You can take the rides that are going to get you to that area, get you or may take you away from the area. You can decline, or you're going to be able to see that 15-20 minute trip to pick that person up. It's only going down the street a mile or two, and that's not worth it at all. So why would you take that? So at this point, yeah, things like that, it's definitely a hell of a lot better than just
Yep.
trying to figure out where people are going.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with more. Except, again, we had our own little issue with the big brother, uh, because they didn't like a lot of stuff I said in an article I wrote. But hey, I think it's a fair cut, a small one, but I think it's a fair cut. But again, in exchange, to be able to see the destination of the passenger, would you give up 2% maybe off your total earnings? It shouldn't be that way, but if it comes down to it, I'd rather see the destination than not see the destination. So that's the biggest thing.
I'm going to say halfway. I
Halfway.
don't agree that there should be a pay cut at all. You should just be
Yeah.
able to know where you're going and when.
Yeah.
Just in the economy, with everything raising pretty much across the board when it comes to costs, and not looking like it's going to drop anytime soon. If you want to attract and keep drivers, you cannot do rate cuts, because they're going to say, you know what? I can go stand and work at McDonald's. I can go to Starbucks. I can go somewhere else, or go to different apps.
Yep.
And they're not going to be staying there anymore, or on that app. So if you're trying to make sure that there's drivers within 5 minutes of a pickup, you got to make sure that the driver is going to be happy to stay there. So why would you want to do a pay cut on top of being able? So I don't agree with that at all. I think that it should be the same pay, just you have that information now so you can make a more informed decision whether it's worth it for you or not.
Yeah, I mean, so there's actually a good comment here. It says, what should I do when passengers by Moik? What should I do when a passengers are seeking private rides outside of Uber platform? Well,
Make sure you have the
if,
correct insurances and
if
you
you
have
have,
everything you
yeah,
need
if you have
in
commercial
the event.
insurance,
Yep.
yeah, if you have commercial
Uh,
insurance and you have the look, that's all we can say here. But obviously, I understand the question.
just make sure you're
Well,
doing everything legally
yeah,
to it.
because
Uh,
yeah,
that's a big thing because the biggest thing is liability. So
yeah,
if you
in
did
an
something like that,
accident, friends and family, friends and family goes so far because in an
yeah.
accident, even if they're friend and family, they're gonna nail your ass with a lawsuit that you're not gonna be able to come out of. So
Mhm.
be careful,
And then
do
not
everything
only
up
that,
and
on
out.
top of it, if they find out that you're doing that, you could get kicked off the platform. So, you could keep that on the hush hush type thing. But again, just if you are going to do rides outside Uber and Lyft, you absolutely can do that. The
Yeah,
thing is, you just need to make sure that you are following the regulations and the rules, the laws, have the proper insurances that are going to be in your local state or area. Every area is going to be different. So that's not something we're going to answer. That's something you would have to research and find out.
yeah, yeah,
Beyond that, don't do it if you don't have the proper
yeah,
liability, because
100%.
that's a whole can of worms you just don't want to get into.
Yeah, yeah. Well, okay. Norma is answering your question because I cannot say what I need to say here. But what I would suggest is that, right? That's if you love driving, if you like rideshare, you're gonna love private trips because they're gonna pay 3 times as much probably, and the crowd is gonna be much, much higher class and decent.
Mhm.
Obviously, it's gonna depend on the car you drive. I'm not sure if you can do private trips with a Prius. You probably could. Not that there's anything wrong with the Prius. You could, but then you're not going to be able to charge what a Cadillac charges or what a black car charges, right? But if you want to do certain things in between, maybe you have an Excel car like a Toyota Sienna or something like that. Definitely, get your TPC and get your LLC set up. Those are not too expensive if you're going to stay in the you know, livery business. So to me, that's one way of getting out of rideshare. I mean, there is plenty of people still traveling and they don't want to be in a trashy Uber. So hey, I'm not against it, man, whatsoever. But Norma did answer the question, so read Norma's answer. So, yeah, Cheeky Chop says he's got a Bugatti. If you're doing the rideshare in a Bugatti, bro, you must have a huge YouTube channel. Otherwise, I don't think you're just
Well,
going to be doing it.
yeah. What else do you think with the upfront fares and upfront pay when it
Upfront
comes to?
fares, I think it's a huge plus for drivers. Okay,
Yeah,
you
I think
guys,
for a little bit though, it was a little shaky. It was looking like things were a big pay cut compared to not. And obviously, people are going to highlight the biggest ones, the biggest drop offs they might see versus looking at them as an entire thing. But I will give credit to both DK and Jay Z during their interviews. They both said that it's going to take time for it to adjust, and
yeah,
if it took that little bit of growing pain in order for it to kind of figure itself out and smooth itself out, because
yeah,
a lot of people are starting to say it looks like things are getting to where they should be. So that is a positive. I've seen a
yeah,
little bit better. I don't know about yourself.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that's a positive. The other couple things that I think they were positives in 2022 is area filter by Lyft, which I think it's an
Mhm.
amazing, amazing, amazing thing that they did for drivers. Although now they're putting a timer on it. Before it was no timer, but still, a couple hours on it is better than nothing. Area preference is becoming, a platinum or a diamond only perk on Uber, which again was a really good idea. but it seems like they always start giving something, and then about a month or two later, they figure everybody's abusing it. Yeah, they're not actually abusing it, Chris. I think they like it so much that that's what they've been asking for years, and they're using it. It's not abusing it, right?
It's the carrot and the stick. They're just dangling
Yeah,
it in front of
yeah,
you and saying, "Oh, here you go, here you go. Oh, we're gonna take it back. You got to do this." And it comes
yeah,
down to that whole
yeah,
gamification again
yeah,
that we've been talking about.
yeah. So to me, those are two good things that happen. Hopefully, they stick around. Other than that, honestly, rideshare, as far as what the companies did, they introduced some safety measures, especially on the Uber side. Yes, a lot of people laughed at it, but hey, man, when you're in a pickle and you can record a trip, encrypt it on your phone and use it as evidence, I think it's a good idea. And then in 3 cities, they introduced video recording on two-party consent states. I think that's a good thing either as well. But again, you're on your own. I don't think there's any doubt about that you are on your own out there. Any button you push to call somebody to come help you is not going to happen. So, there were some good positive developments, the biggest one being that. And then next year, I think, is going to be a lot of changes. It
Yeah,
could be
we'll get into
this business.
2023 in a little bit. So
Yeah. But I mean,
we'll keep.
yeah, and I think 2022 for rideshare drivers was a decent year. I'm not going to say it was horrible, but the
Mhm.
end of the year, the last quarter of the year, I think the macroeconomic conditions started to hurt everybody. Inflation started to hurt everybody, and then there's an oversaturated marketplace in a lot of places. So, it came in as with a bang with the upfront fares and upfront destination. It's going out with a whimper. I think that's what it looks like to me. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
yeah, definitely at the beginning of the year was much different compared. I remember when we were first talking about starting the show, and we were talking about how some of the bonuses were like $300-400
Yep.
for some of these quests and these different promos, both on Uber and Lyft.
Yeah.
And the beginning of the year was great, going pretty much up until the last quarter where it just started
Yeah.
going. It just has not been good, and it's going to be tough probably for the next few months, if not longer than that. Like 2023 could be a hard year, which we've talked about. We'll talk about that again in a little in the next segment. But yeah, if you didn't make money in 2022, I don't know where you were, what you were doing, but um, you
Yeah.
could have. You could have made quite a bit of
Especially the
money doing
early parts of 22, you should have done really, really well
it. Mhm.
because the bonuses were through the roof.
Another thing too with 22 that has kind of been big, not Uber and Lyft associated, but no tip, no trip.
Yep.
That whole movement kind of started the decline garbage, your worth, just into the rideshare aspect of things.
Yep.
Um, and especially having that upfront fares and upfront pay. But yeah, I mean, no tip, no trip was kind of that big thing that's
Yeah.
taken off. And, a lot of drivers, they won't take the orders. And, you'll see customers that are going to complain and say, oh, well, tipping's optional or things like that. And you know what? I agree. Tipping is optional. But the thing is, if these companies are not going to pay you enough, then people are going to have to rely on tips or something's got to change. And, again, it's going to come down to, are you going to be able to go out and do this, or are you going to have to make a change?
Yep. I agree. So, yep. And
And then, the other thing with 2022, I think, has to be the gas prices.
yeah.
That kind of affected everybody as a whole. Um, it kind of led to higher costs of everything because of delivery costs. So you saw a lot of inflation just from that. Then you see, when it comes to rideshare, at least they gave you the 55 cents surcharge for as long as they did. Unfortunately, it is ending on the Uber side, but
Yep.
Lyft had ended a couple of months ago. But yeah, I mean, at least, with gas prices, how high they spiked, it kind of, I think, also showed people, um, are you going to continue being able to do something like this? Are your costs going to allow you to do that? Are you going to reevaluate how you're doing it?
Yeah.
Did you bring on different apps uh,
Yeah.
or get a different job? And I think that kind of shed a lot of light on drivers, at least when it started to spike earlier in the summer and then going through.
Yeah. So let me answer this question. What does Ahmed Mahmoud says? What does Uber Pro mean to you guys? I mean, I'm not going to hide it. It doesn't mean anything to me. I told them to take me off. I mean, they're not going to take you off. They're going to give you nothing. You'll be blue or gold for the rest of your life. There you go. As long
Yeah.
as you're driving a rideshare, which I hope is not that long. To me, it doesn't mean anything, but to a lot of people, it means a lot. If you're getting free education through an online school like ASU that Uber offers, it may mean a lot to you. To me, gas discounts, 7-Elevens, free Slurpees, and I don't know,
With the
having
purchase.
an extra destination, to me personally, doesn't mean much.
Yep.
Carrot. I mean, what it should mean is it should mean a lot to full-time drivers. Okay. And I think honestly, they should get paid more. I mean, if that's going to be my thought process going forward. Why aren't the full-time drivers getting paid more than a soccer mom that drives 2 hours a day? To me, it's like they're the ones that are doing a lot of the work. They have to get treated differently. So to me,
Hmm.
well, we're going to talk about 2023, what we see coming up, but that's going to be for me. That's I mean, I just want to work on that subject because I think a lot of drivers who are like employees are being treated as independent contractors, which they shouldn't be. And it should be a scale, man. Instead of this diamond platinum bullshit, if you achieve diamond, you should get paid more per mile or per minute or in some other way, or pay less commission or something, right? There has to be something,
Hmm.
because what I'm getting
Yeah.
for diamond or platinum for me is not enough to get to those levels. It's just not.
Same here. I don't think, to be honest, for me, the benefits don't outweigh the costs associated with, it's trying to attain that. The perks that they give, to me personally, have no bearing. If there were more bonuses or something like that, um, or if there was the ability to, have a lower commission rate or something where it affects your pay, well, yeah, at that point maybe. But like area preference, we never had that in our area, so it didn't matter. Some of these other things, like I'm not going to buy something in order to get something for free, if I don't want to. And, so I think it just comes down to what you think are good for the benefits. Yeah, if you wanted to go online to ASU, and do some online school to, better yourself, to take a plan B and make it a plan A, by all means, then go out, do what you got to do in order to be able to attain that. But
Yeah.
if the goals, or I'm sorry, if the perks aren't worth it for you, then you got to make the decisions that's going to be beneficial for yourself. So that comes down to acceptance rate, and a lot of people have lower acceptance rates right now because of upfront earnings, and they can see where the trips are and what they're going to make, and they're saying, look, I'm not going to take that. So they kind of got to give this whole back and forth. But I think if they are able to correct upfront fares to something where they want everybody to accept 100% of the trips, or at least 95% plus, well, at that point, hey, the added perks are just extra, at least in my mind. It's not something I'm going to actually attain for.
Yeah, because there is no, not too many full-time drivers that are not platinum or diamond anyway because of the points that they're accumulating. So, but there should be something extra for achieving those levels. Instead of these, regular
Mhm.
stuff that you can get on your own credit card. You can get a 5% off of gas on that one. You don't need all this stuff. But to me, maybe they'll listen to us and they'll change that system. And then even the money that they're going to offer, right? If you stay platinum, it's 300 more bucks, but it has so many conditions. Even if it's like,
Mhm.
why so many conditions on something that these people deserve? So, but it's typical Uber and Lyft. I mean, they're not going to change the way they do things. They think they're the best thing since sliced bread, man.
Well, I don't. You know what? I got to disagree with you with that. I don't think that they're doing it for themselves. I think they're a publicly traded company, and they're not looking for the riders to benefit. They're not looking for the drivers to benefit. They're looking for the shareholders to benefit.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. You're trying to push a profit. You're trying to cut costs where you can, raise costs where you can, so you can achieve that profit, so it can go back to the shareholders. And in actuality, Uber has probably the best chance to get profitable and stay profitable, whether it's going to be a small razor thin margin. versus, another company like Lyft that's more of a one trick pony, that I don't think they're going to have the same ability to get into profit as Uber does, or even as quick.
Yeah.
So that's something to take into consideration too. A lot of the reasons and decisions that they're made is because they have the fiduciary duty to shareholders to try to maximize the amount that they earn in profits, uh, or to try to profitize in general over the well-being of drivers and the overall satisfaction of riders.
Yeah. I think, Chris, I think I think we're going to chuck the stuff that we prepared for next I don't know when, because there are so many questions flying around. I think we should just do it. If you want, I did the work, you did the work, but we'll save it for the first episode of the next year, because there's
well, yeah, if you want to go from the emails and the comments, we can do that. But
yeah.
I think the thing though we should do is at least the 2023 predictions.
Yeah,
Where
we're definitely going to do that. We're definitely going to do that. Yeah.
So let's go back, answer a few questions now,
Okay.
and then we'll do what, five, 6, 7 questions or something through people, and then we'll get into the 2023 predictions, and then we'll go back to some more questions.
Okay,
sounds good.
Yeah. We'll just save it for next first week of next year. So Uber needs to Paulo Oliveira. Uber needs to give drivers 75% of the ride. They used to. They're not going to do it. They're never going to do it. In fact, they're going to take more and more and more, because they want to be profitable as much as you want to be profitable. Joe Driver, that's a good comment, man, right there. Uber and Lyft's entire business model is dependent on exploitation. They will never pay drivers more. They have done the analysis, and it's cheaper for them to settle lawsuits. Well, yes, and yes. On those three, exploitation is up to each person to accept, Joe. If you don't want to get exploited, don't drive. Nobody's putting a gun to your head to do this. They've sold this business as flexible and freedom, and to some people it is, to some people it isn't. And if you're not making money, you should not be doing this. I'm being totally upfront. We're a rideshare channel, and I'm saying that. It's the fact. Find something else that you're making equal money with less wear and tear on your car and your body. What is there to say? It's 100% agree. Especially now with the macroeconomic conditions, they are exploiting a lot of drivers. There are all these newbies who are taking these garbage right here, and they don't know their worth, and then they're desperate. There are a lot of desperate people out there, and they're taking advantage of it. And
well, it's just like last week when we were going over those Uber Eats screenshots.
Yeah.
That was absolutely
I had one
insane.
yesterday. I was going to send it to you, Chris. I had a Walmart order yesterday that I got through Uber Eats. Nine single individual drop-offs. It was going to take me 126 minutes, and Uber was paying me $26.
Ooh. Hold on, let me find that. Let me find the one that I sent you.
This is a new share.
Well, let me find the one that I sent you the other day. This one was in New York City. This was another one. This was a one of the deliveries. I don't know how many it was on this, because it doesn't oh wait, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. So it was 12 drop-offs for this. Get this. It was for 3 hours and 2 minutes was the duration, with a distance of 35.1 miles.
Please tell me.
The earnings, get this, $19.71.
Are you effing kidding me now?
So for 3 hours, $19.71. You divide that by $20. You divide that by 3. It's like what, $8, $7, not even $7 an hour.
Yeah, hopefully nobody
did. New York. That's downstate. That's in New York City. That's more young. It's outside, but it's
they have that's
Yonkers.
You know what? Chris Child
and Greenwich, Connecticut. So it was multi-state.
Christ Child says they have a way of, okay, you know what? This is a good question. Now, we always say decline garbage, know your worth. However, don't think for a minute that if you're without saying it, because both CEOs said, publicly, that if you don't accept, it's on them. So acceptance rate shouldn't matter, because I got a lot of emails saying that, Serge, my acceptance rate is falling apart. I go, it shouldn't matter. You're not going to get deactivated for low AR. And, if the demand is there, you should get the same tips as a guy is getting it with 100% acceptance rate. It's not going to make any difference. But I heard from my good friend Tony in LA today. He was online for 45 minutes in a busy area. LA is busy. He didn't get one trip request. He goes, Serge, my acceptance rate is 7%. Are they throttling me? I go, most likely they are. They're not going to admit it because they'll be the biggest lawsuit on the planet. But they may be throttling people with low acceptance rates. I'm not going to deny it, but I still say don't do it. Wait for the trip that you think you're worth. So Christchild says they have their way of making acceptance rates matter. Yeah, it may. They may be attaching a whole bunch of stuff to it. And but then I will still decline garbage. I'm not going to do it. I'm not here for charity, man. I'm not. Mr. Gambit has a good point. The amount of rides you've done also should get more. Yeah, you should get paid more. If you do 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 trips, you should get paid more. I agree with you 100%. And there was one with the algorithm. Both UNL need to change their algorithm to reflect the depreciation. That's going to be very difficult to do. If they were to do that, they would have to pay you what they're paying people in Seattle. Yep. That would be awesome. They'll be paying you a whole bunch more than what they're paying you now. Well, in certain rational driver in certain cities, it does. AR matters to platinum or diamond levels. I'm getting screenshots.
Read the question or comment.
Sorry. Okay, so the rational driver, Sergio, the only thing you need to do is accrue, you mean? Okay, accrue a certain amount of points. The RCR hasn't mattered for at least a year. In certain cities, it still is rational driver. It may not be in your city, but in certain cities it is. Because we're in touch with a whole bunch of drivers. Okay, please talk about Hum. Is it a good company? Do you know anything about Hum, Chris? Or HUM?
I know a little bit. I know it's a company that is a pay-to-play model.
Okay.
I'm not sure much beyond that because nothing has ever come about from some of those companies. I mean, one of them is pretty much just a multi-level marketing scheme. And it never took off. Other ones are trying until they actually start, coming out and really truly working. I'm on the fence on them. I'm not going to pay for something unless there is a ride base to it. Meaning I'm not going to pay a monthly cost if I can't recoup that cost plus a lot more.
There's Empower also, Empower, right? In like North Carolina, DC. Look, there has been a lot of attempts. Some have been fraud, some have been whatever. People, this is not an easy business to get into. If this was such a lucrative business to be in, we wouldn't have just Uber and Lyft. We would have 10 rideshare companies because they'd be all making money. Barrier to entry in this business is extremely high as a business, as Uber and Lyft proved that over the last 10 years, that they haven't made a red cent yet and spent billions and billions in losses. Initially VC money, now their own stock equity, whatever it is. We don't have to get into that, but it is not a good business to be in. If it was such a great business to be in, like software business, look how many software companies there are around the globe, thousands, okay? It's not a good business to be in. Food delivery, human delivery, package delivery, it's just not a good business to be in. And that's why there are no, these Hums come and go, and these Empowers come and go, and Trip comes and goes. It's just, it's not a good business to be in. And then if it was, man, trust me, there are a lot of people with billions of dollars who would be getting into the business. It's not that difficult. The app is easy. You can write the app and get it out there.
I mean, like I say, if it comes down to, there's a lot of riders who are actually using that platform, whether it's Hum or another one or one of these pay to play models, then yeah, at that point it's going to be good. But if there's no rider that's, if people don't know about it or anything like that, like it's launching in Phoenix, great. Who knows about it in Phoenix? And then if you have people coming in, are they going to know? Like, what is Hum going to do in order to be able to spread the word to make a demand on the passenger side. Because if you have no passengers and you're just paying a monthly fee, well, that's just stupid business to me.
That's where Uber and Lyft shine, because they came to market with billions of dollars and they got the passengers. Look, man, I can start a rideshare company tomorrow and I can get all the drivers I want because everybody's unhappy with Uber and Lyft. How do I get the passengers? The problem, because passengers are going to say, what's the difference between Uber and Hum? What's the difference between Uber and Empower? What's the difference? They don't give a shit about the driver. I mean, if you guys think passengers give a shit about you guys, drivers, you guys are majorly mistaken. All they want to do is get picked up as fast as possible and go from point A to B as cheaply as possible. Period. That's it. So don't have in this, idea of, oh, this guy is better than this guy. You're not going to have any passengers. You can sit there and pay your subscription fee. You're not going to do it. So
the thing is here, if you want to venture into something like that, you have probably a better shot at doing personal clientele and personal yourself, because you can start that essentially once you're fully regulated within the bylaws of your area that you drive in. Again, research that, make sure everything is a-okay, tip top in order to be able to do that. But then start taking private rides, build your own clientele list, and then work that. And it's going to take effort and it's going to take time, but after a little while, you could potentially fully transition to doing private clientele only. And you're going to spend a little bit of money, but on the other side, you're going to make more money. And those are probably the passengers that you want to have in your car. Those are the people that you're going to enjoy, because one, they have a personal attachment to you, so they're going to be happy about that. Two, you're going to have a good attachment with them, and they've been in your car already, so they're going to take care of your stuff. They're going to treat it better overall. They're going to treat you better. You might see more tips out of that. There's a whole thing there. So on these pay-to-play services, unless there's demand, I would just I would sit on the sidelines and wait and watch.
Yeah, well, it's a good question here. William says, Sergio, why do these companies why don't they have caps on availability of drivers? They have it in New York City and they have higher rates. That's the only city they have caps on, especially in the 5 boroughs. The rest of the country, look, again, that's a question that goes deep into the into the fabric of these companies. There's 2 utilization factors. One is Uber needs to have as many drivers as possible for the passenger to get picked up in 4 to 5 minutes. That's all they care. They don't care if they have 1,000 drivers in a square mile or 10,000 drivers. They prefer 10,000. They prefer that 9,900 of the 10,000 is going to go hungry, because to them, the most important thing is how fast can I have this guy pick up this passenger. That's why there are no caps. Now, the government will get involved. New York City, TLC got involved and they have caps, but having caps is going to come with a whole bunch of other issues, meaning if you have a cap, will they elect drivers saying that you have this shift, that's going to get into a little bit of the employee model. So to me, don't wish for something that you don't want to happen. I mean, having caps may not be a great idea. So, look, there are so many great questions here, and, but we're going to try to get to as many as we can, but then we don't want to go too far over. There is one really good question that I wanted to hit, but they're flying. So, yeah.
Well, why don't you look for that, and then we'll save that comment for after. We'll do our 2023 predictions and their thoughts. People who are watching this live right now, not on the replay, unfortunately, if you're watching the replay, by all means, put in the comments what your thoughts are for 2023 going forward. If you see any changes, your thoughts. If you want to specifically answer one of the questions or topics that we're going to bring up during this little section, then do that. And then also live chat. Share your thoughts on these as well through each point that we go on. And again, for the people who are watching the replay on YouTube, you can just hit the live chat. You should be able to see the live chat replay. For those who are listening to the podcast, you might want to go to YouTube and check it out. But let's talk about the 2023 predictions, where we're going to be going. So first off, where was Uber going to be going this year? What are your thoughts there?
I think Uber, Uber is going to be the last Mohican. I mean, we talked about this last week or a couple of weeks ago. Lyft maybe another year the way they're going, and they're not going to be a viable entity. I mean, they're not going to be able to stand on their own. Uber is going to win the game, but then what game are they winning? Honestly, what game is that? They're in three horrible businesses. They're going to be continued being in three horrible businesses. The only thing, I mean, I'm being very serious now. I'm being very frank and upfront. I think it's going to be a very, very, very horrible, bad, long winter for rideshare drivers, just for the fact that macroeconomic conditions are going to hurt. And I am also very, very cautious that demand on the delivery side and the rideshare side is going to suffer if the recession hits, which I think it's coming. And it's going to be a long winter, so people need to figure out what they need to do. If rideshare is what you're willing to continue to do, I think you need to just find another side hustle of your side hustle. If you're doing it on a full-time basis, I pray for you that you stay safe, but you just got to weather the storm. Again, I've been in it for 7 years, Chris. I've seen this before in 2018, 19, the same kind of oversaturation. But then, pandemic hit and things change. I'm not saying another pandemic is going to save everything. It's not about that. It's about the economy going through its peak, which it did. Now it's going to go through its valley. And when it does that, and it starts coming out of it again, I think a lot of people who are driving now don't have to drive. And we're going to go back to regular balance, and it's going to be okay. Second half of 2023 should be okay, better than the first half. The first half is going to be tough. I'm not going to lie about it. I mean, there are way too many drivers out there. I think,
I don't know if going on that, I don't know if it's going to be that short-lived, because there's a lot of, companies and places that have not had the realization yet. Yes, there has been some tech companies that have had a major and massive layoffs, Uber and Lyft being, two of the companies, but you see Facebook, you see Twitter, you see these other companies that are having massive layoffs. That's going to affect things. Same thing with other unrealized issues that are going to be arising. Once those are going to be rising, then you're going to see people start tightening up those budgets, those purse strings. You could see more layoffs coming. You're going to see more people coming out. So it could take I don't know if it's going to take 6 months. It could be a year. It could be maybe 2 years at worst. I don't think it's going to go longer than that, but I don't think it's going to be a short run.
yeah, I mean, that's one thing. The other thing that I'm hoping to see is honestly, I mean, outside the, there, look, 2023 could be for these companies, by the way, could be a very tumultuous year. I mean, look, we have two massive legal cases that are going to be settled, and one is the Prop 22 case in California. Again, driver in Chicago doesn't care about that, but whatever California does, so does the rest of the country. The other thing is, the bigger one is going to be the Department of Labor ruling that's going to come out in about 30 to 60 days. And honestly, I mean, that's gonna change. That could change things overnight. That could literally change things overnight. And every one of you guys who are here so used to flexibility and freedom, if Department of Labor says, hey, you guys have 3 million drivers between DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, Grubhub, Instacart, all these gig companies, you guys have 6 million drivers, they're all your employees. Take care of them. And guess what? The next day, the apps, you will not be able to log on, and there'll be schedules if you're able to log on. They're going to push a schedule on you. They're not going to, because they cannot afford to have 6 million drivers as employees in their books. It's just not going to happen. So those two things can change, the scale, balancing scale. I mean, the DOL thing is going to be massive. These companies could literally disappear overnight if the DOL says, hey.
Going away from the DOL rule, not taking that into effect yet. Let's just say things are as is going into 2023. Do you think that Uber is going to be able to post their first year or the first quarter of profit this year?
No.
Okay.
Not true profit. They have been profitable.
True profit is what I'm asking.
Not true profit. They have been profitable according to EBITDA, which is meaningless to me. They were on their way. If the economy did not slow and the Fed didn't raise the rates to what they're doing now, yeah, I would have bet on it that they would be true free cash flow positive and true profits. Lyft, no, not at all. Lyft, I think.
Speaking of Lyft, where do
Yeah,
you think what are your predictions for 2023 when it comes to Lyft?
Lyft is going to lose market share. I think Lyft is going to lose market share, and Lyft is also their costs are going to go up because look, a lot of drivers, if you were to do a survey of drivers between Uber and Lyft, a lot of people are picking Uber for one reason or another. It could be the app, it could be the pay, whatever it is. Lyft has to increase their costs to get drivers back on their platforms. And with everything that I'm seeing in my city and a lot of emails I get from other cities, Lyft is really trying. Lyft is actually surging more than Uber in LA and in San Francisco. Lyft is putting out a lot more streaks. Uber is going very low cost. They're not putting out anything. So Lyft, it's been a struggle for Lyft to exist with Uber. And it's the struggle. The struggle is real, and it's gonna get worse. I don't think it's gonna get any easier. So I mean, they'll be around. They'll stick around for another year probably until they burn all through their cash, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's gonna be you're gonna I think you're going to start seeing Uber and Lyft separate when it comes down to it. Before this, last year before that, Uber and Lyft were synonymous with each other, at least from the standpoint of several people. I think you're going to start seeing the differentiation really start coming to. It's already started, but you're really going to start seeing it going in 2023. The differences between Uber and Lyft, and I think that's going to be the difference between survival and not survival. When it comes to company. And then what do you think about food delivery for the next year and last mile delivery? So apps like Doordash or Uber Eats, Grubhub.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, Grubhub, again, let's not talk about it. DoorDash is the clear leader. Uber Eats is very distant second. I mean, I know what's happening out there. Or order frequency is definitely going down, and I can see it happen. It's actually in real life when I do deliveries. I get a lot less pings now. Number one, number two, but that's not just me. When I do my channel checks, there's order frequency is going down. But guess what, Chris? On food delivery, Uber still is showing the receipt of the passenger to the driver right after the trip. So I've been looking at these receipts and getting screenshots of a lot of different delivery drivers in different cities. Frequency is going down, but what Uber is charging them is astronomically going to. If you guys are complaining that in RideShare they're taking 50%, you guys should do some deliveries and see what kind of numbers they're taking away. 70, 80%. Like a burrito literally is costing the customer like $20 between delivery fees, service charge, tip, this and that is $20. The burrito is $9.
That's like that one. It was like getting a delivery of a coffee that was like 1936 or something. Yeah. It's like
some crazy.
To me,
So what they're doing is they know they're going to run short because the frequency of ordering is going down. So they're pumping just to make the earnings this quarter. Uber is just absolutely ripping customers off. I mean, rip into them hard. So to me, that's also going to be a questionable situation. Look, man, it all depends how severe the recession is going to be. If the recession is severe, people are going to tighten their belts and not order $30 burritos, $20 cups of coffee. And that's where we are. So it's reality, I mean, look, everything it's going to be a long winter. That's all I can say. Maybe not as bad as your snowstorms, but it's going to be a long winter. So.
No, you know what? I honestly think in several markets it's going to be rough. And I mean, if you stick it out, then you're probably going to be all right. But yeah, you're going to have to figure out probably something else on top of it just to kind of suffice during that time. Whether that's another side hustle or something that you could potentially turn into a plan A. You might want to do something or try something just in those slow times and those hard times that are probably going to come up for quite a few people. So let's you kind of touched upon the DOL rule. What do you think is going to happen? That just ended its public comment period. A week or two ago, a couple weeks ago. Basically, it's a proposed for those who don't know, it's a proposed rule change on how to classify independent contractors or employees. And they're basically taking it pretty similarly to the AB5 three-part rule test, whether a person is actually an independent contractor or an employee. And this could spell a big change for drivers of rideshare, food delivery, last mile delivery, just the gig economy as a whole. And it could have much even further impacts, like AB5 did. There were plenty of exemptions, like doctors, lawyers, real estate agents. I don't know if they included like news and different people.
AB5 included everybody pretty much, from truck drivers to
but there were a lot of exemptions though too.
Yeah, well, a lot of industries who could afford to lobby, they got a lot of exemptions. But rideshare wasn't one of them. So, and and to me, that's going to be a huge change. So I think we need to wait and see how that's going to turn out. There's one thing that's going on that in the comments they're talking, a lot of people talking about cars and used cars and this. So there was a graphic that I looked at today after I looked at the Tesla stock price that lost $600 billion in market capitalization last 3 months. That's, by the way, people, if you guys are really interested, that's 12 times Uber. Okay? So not Elon Musk, Tesla as a company. And guess what, Chris? You may be able to get yourself well, I know you're not going to get an electric car, but Tesla used car prices are crashing. So average used car prices in the last 3 months have come down 4%. There was this craziness for a while that people were buying cars and driving and selling it for a higher price, which I'm going like, in the history of this country, that has never happened, right?
No, the only times appreciation only happened when it was a classic car that was coming back out.
Yeah,
and it had to meet
like a regular criteria. Car. Yeah. Okay, so the Tesla prices, right, in the last 3 months have come down 12% from an average of 67,000. This is all used Tesla cars, from an average of 67,000 to 56,000. And Tesla, shut down their Shanghai plant today, where most of their cars come out. So Elon, time to wake up. Time to wake up. Get off your Twitter shit. Get back to Tesla, because I'm going to start buying some Tesla stock probably New Year's. So get your shit together, Elon.
Well, when it comes to, here's the thing though, when it comes to Tesla, I don't know if they just brought EVs into the forefront and kind of changed the scene, because you have a lot of these legacy car makers like GM and Ford and BMW, and all of these car manufacturers are bringing on EVs into the market. So the thing is, they've perfected their vehicle creating procedures over many years. Even like companies like Kia and Hyundai, I would have never entertained ever owning a Kia or a Hyundai, but some of the new Kias that are out there, they're very nice. And I would entertain looking at it. And the reason why we're probably having this conversation a little bit when it comes to cars, not only because of the comments within the chat, but I told you that my is on its way out, and I'm going to have to be getting a newer vehicle soon. So what it's going to be, I'm not sure yet.
All right. Well, I'm sure it'll be an ICE car. I bet on it'll be a gas car.
Yeah. Right now, it'll absolutely, because EVs are not an electric vehicle in this area is not going to be enough for me.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Yeah. So there you go. So everybody is a Tesla analyst now, right? So they all go like, yeah, because this is what's happening to Tesla.
Well, they also have the most. They also have the most cars, most EVs out there. So if you want an EV, chances are you're going to be able to get a Tesla. But as more car manufacturers are bringing EVs to market, because they're just starting this year, they just started. The Hummer just came out. Rivian just came out. Other cars are coming out. So you had, up until this past year, you only had a few EVs on the market. Now you're getting more and more. So you're going to see Tesla's market share drop. it's not going to be the same powerhouse in an EV manufacturer company as it is today or yesterday.
All right. So there's a Snoopy says, second richest man in the world can't be that much of a fool. You know, Snoopy, not the richest people are not the smartest people on the planet. And, you know, as genius as Elon is, I think he's got a few screws loose. So I'm like, I'm not sure about what you just said. But, you know, this is not stock advice. So when I said, let me buy Tesla next year, I'm just saying it for my own purposes. I'm not telling you guys to do it or not to do it. But then everybody's got an opinion on Tesla. So we should do a special on Tesla. Let's see what kind of viewership we get. We'll probably go right through the roof that way. So
Yeah, I saw
actually, you know what?
somebody
There was
say many
one
dealers are
question.
charging over MSRP, and that is for the most part. But you can get there's a lot of cars that are getting at MSRP now, and then there's a few places where you can actually get a little bit lower. So as more new cars are hitting the market because of the chip shortages and stuff, that was kind of the biggest issue there when it came to the pricing. But now that things are starting to get in this equilibrium, you're going to see them get back into that cost where it's MSRP. But you know, you're probably going to see a car crash coming soon.
It's here. It's here.
No, I mean even worse.
Yeah, I don't know. This
what I heard is, huh?
It's just starting. Whatever goes up parabolic, if you guys know what that is, you know, the ending of parabolic is never good. So just Google parabolic and then you guys will know. So it was a good question here. The Mike says, what does RideShare Guy think of TaskRabbit? No car needed. Well, I don't know about no car needed, Mike. You're going to have to get to the job. So somehow, if you're like a handyman, you know, you need to have some tools. You know, I mean, unless you're going to do TaskRabbit and or Fiverr, maybe be just a graphic designer and you're going to be sitting home doing Zoom and, you know, all that kind of stuff. You know, a lot of stuff on TaskRabbit, like putting desks together and doing these kind of things, you're going to need some tools and you're going to need a car to get to the job. So I'm not sure if you don't, but I mean, the cost is going to be less, obviously. Plus, as an independent contractor, Mike, you can name your price. If you're too high, then some other rabbit is going to get the job as opposed to you. So, you know, and the same guy says, I wish channel would make videos on TaskRabbit. Well, you know, we do videos on pretty much every gig economy company out there, from Spark to obviously the big ones, the Doordashes, Ubers, Lyfts, Instacarts, and all that stuff. We have all the contributors doing that. And we'll get your message to the boss that we need to make a video on TaskRabbit. But there are a couple of articles, by the way, on TaskRabbit. If you go to our blog and check it, we've done articles on TaskRabbit. And
yeah, just so you know, there are videos that are going to be coming on TaskRabbit, so stay tuned for that.
There you go.
You know, one of the things is it may have started as the RideShare Guy 8 years ago when Harry started the channel, and when basically it was just Uber and Lyft. But you know, it's gone into a whole array of apps and different platforms that are out there. So you know, just trying to cover quite a few, and there's more that pop up all the time. So yeah, don't worry. TaskRabbit is one of those. There's a couple others as well. So they're going to be highlighted and talked about as the year goes on. Don't worry. And I'm talking about 2020.
One more good question. How are they going to adjust the price for riders when the fuel surcharge goes away? Good question. I am hoping that they lower it by 55 cents. But I don't know. What do you think, Chris? You think they're going to lower the riders' fares by 55 cents?
You know, I don't really think so.
No, man, you know what? You know what? I'm not going to say they won't. Maybe they will. Maybe they will.
There's no real way to verify.
Brian goes, of course not, Sergio. I'm just asking the question, bro. I'm just a messenger. Oh, yeah, well, IQ boy goes F no. Oh my, okay, there you go. We settled it.
Here, I will tell you exactly what to do. Pick a pickup and drop off location. Start with your app right now on the passenger app. Look how much that'll be. Do it multiple times throughout a day. You know, just so you can get the base average of what it's going to be. And then come January, and do this through January 3rd, so you have a good sample size. You got to do the same pickup, same drop off, don't order the ride. Just see what the cost is going to be. And then, after January 3rd, kind of do the same exact thing where you do, maybe 10, 15 times just to see that average and see if it drops at 55 cents or not.
Excellent, excellent, excellent idea. That will be done. to consider it done. And then Norma goes, they will do what Lyft did, add a surcharge. Holy shit. You guys have such a horrible perception of these companies. Hey, Uber, are you watching this? I know you are. So you see this, bro? They don't trust you whatsoever. Okay? It's just perception is garbage. It's horrible out there. I don't even know why. And then Wizum goes 1 billion trips times 55 cents.
Yep. $550 million right there.
Cha-ching, baby. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Jeff is here. Hello, Jeff. What's up, my man? Jeff, the Sunshine Man from Charleston, or Myrtle Beach, more like it. He said they will drop it from the rider's fare.
Well, we will find out then. We're going to test that theory and see.
For you, Jeff. Just for you, I'm on test.
We're going to test that, and then not the next episode, but in 2 weeks we'll be able to give you an answer, because that will be one of those definite feedbacks. Because we're gonna, January 3rd is next week, so we're gonna have to figure out exactly after that. So we'll figure that out. We'll let you know. But either way, prices are going up. So how are you going to know the difference?
Yeah. No, you know what? That was a great idea. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take screenshot.
Melvin's got it right. He said Dar needs a raise, but he's got to work for.
Dara is probably getting a raise according to inflation. Yeah, he's probably getting a raise according to inflation, because inflation is hurting his pocketbook. So instead of 40 million, he's going to make 44 million now. So you guys are happy about that?
Still doing, did he give up his is he still giving up his salary, or did he get that back after the pandemic started? All the CEOs were like, I'm going to give up my salary, but the bonus is still going to come.
He's getting paid fully. He's getting paid fully. He's not giving anything. So yeah, no. Darren needs a raise. No. Okay. See, there's Mike Shaw. Mike, I have a great article coming up about driver safety, which talks about a driver who got actually carjacked. And he's been saying this. This is like the third time, so I have to mention it. He goes, vet riders for driver safety. Mike Shaw, we agree 100%. We talked about this. We've done videos about this. We did town halls about this, and all drivers agree with you, meaning the onboarding of passengers has to be scrutinized. If you do believe what Uber is saying, that like fake names are not going to be allowed, debit cards or gift cards are not going to be allowed without verification, time will tell. But I think it has to go beyond that. I think drivers have to, just like drivers. The passengers are not going to go through background checks, but I think passengers have to upload a verifiable ID. They have to. That's got to be a must. Drivers charge $1 for AC, $1 for heat. No, we can't charge for a seatbelt, Norma, but we can charge for
that's the safety. But I do like that. I think that's a good idea. You remember seeing that little charge sheet? Oh God, it was a meme that went around a couple of years ago. It started for different services that an Uber driver can offer. I think you're going to start seeing that in there. Like, you want me to be quiet? I'll talk your ass off. Yeah. But if you want me to be quiet, it's going to be an extra $10.
Yeah, like a list, right? You know what? Yeah. We're going to have Tony on maybe next year. Next year's only we can. Tony, our good friend from here in LA. He was tweeting the other day. He came up with this amazing idea. I'm not going to tell it. I want him to tell you. He's the idea man. And
he had some telling you on the show.
It's an amazing idea. In fact, this is how amazing it was. Chris Taylor, I'm going to mention your name because I know we have a relationship now, Twitter relationship, but a little rambunctious relationship we have going. We had some Twitter battles. He's an ex-Uber exec. He worked there for 5-6 years. So every time I tweet, he tweets back. He says something, why should drivers decline trips? Everybody should accept all trips. The guy doesn't even work there anymore. He's defending Uber. So guess what? I said, Chris, hey man, why don't you come on the show? we'll have a quiet civil debate with an ex-Uber employee who still is defending Uber
I'll
for shit like
moderate.
this. Huh?
I'll moderate it.
Uh,
I'll be the
so
moderator. You're on the driver's side. He's on the Uber side,
yes,
and
sir.
we'll do a nice little debate. You
Yeah,
know,
we're gonna have him on, and he
a
agreed
couple
to it.
different points, and
Nick, you agreed to it. It's on Twitter land. You cannot erase that shit. So it's in Elon's server now. So we're gonna have a debate. You know, we talked a lot. He knows a lot about how the algorithms work. He knows a lot about. You know, I asked him if throttling happens. He goes, he doesn't know anything about it. So,
it's
but
probably got an NDA.
yeah. But no, I'm not making fun of it. We're gonna have him on to talk about all this good stuff. And
Nice.
so what else?
I look forward
Oh
to
yeah,
it.
we should charge for also charging cables.
Pick your own radio station.
Yep, absolutely. Charge for that. You know, if you want Spotify or something, price is going higher.
Yeah, if you want premium, of course.
Yeah, premium. You know, we should be just like the airlines. Look at these losers. They all canceled trips right and left. They're still charging shit ton of money, and they don't even give you a pillow for free. So I'm going like, hey, you know,
Yep.
we just our own car. Screw that. Yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, let's do these last two prediction questions and
Okay.
go from there, and then
All
we
right.
can get some more questions in.
Okay.
So, what do you think? Where do you think upfront pay and upfront earnings is going to go in 2023? Do you think it's going to be corrected? Do you think it's going to be where, as both Dara and John had mentioned, that they want drivers to have high acceptance rates, so they have to price rides accordingly? Do you see that actually ever happening? Do you think that this correction is going to continue? What's your thought? And then, do
Okay.
you think there's going to be any conditions, put on
Yeah.
in 2023, or where do you see upfront earnings and upfront pay going?
Upfront pay earnings, although they need to be adjusted, although there's both CEOs said what they said on our channel, I don't think it's going to change much. I think every driver can and should be able to, once they know their costs, Chris, I think this even if the upfront fares don't change, I think it's going to be a lot easier to be a profitable driver. I mean, our goal has to be, are you profitable or not? If you're not profitable, get the heck out of rideshare, period. I don't think much is going to change. What I think is going to change, though, is that, look, we cannot call these CEOs, they're CEOs after all of billion-dollar companies. I'm not going to call them liars, okay? I think there will be a small bit of an adjustment on the long end of the trips because the haircut they introduced is massive, massive. They need to change long trip pay and bring it down to what it used to be, maybe only a 10% haircut from a 30% haircut. But other than that, I don't think much is going to change. The reason for that is they brought this on at the perfect time, which was an oversaturated marketplace, meaning all these garbage trips are getting picked up. It doesn't have to be by a newbie, but a desperado. Okay, so yeah, we don't want that. Do we now? We Zoom? We don't want that at all.
We don't want a 510 to be able to see upfront earnings or not. The
Yeah,
whole
we're
point
gonna
of upfront earnings
no.
was be able to say the acceptance rate has gone away. It doesn't matter when it comes down to it.
I think acceptance rate is going to matter pretty soon. From what I know, I think it's going to matter pretty soon. Just for the fact
We'll
that
see.
passenger wait times are going up and nobody on these long trips is getting picked up. I think they're going to have to do something about it. Either pay better on these longer trips, or put some sort of restrictions, just like they did with area filter and area preference. So I'm afraid so, but I think they will.
Now, going back to the DOL rule, do you think that Uber would try to go back to what they did? Because it's very similar to AB5. Do you think that they would go back to what they made changes to try to make it seem like drivers were more independent contractors versus employees? So, having the multiplier surge back, being able to have set your own rate type multiplier,
I mean,
and
I was going to talk
Those
about
types of things.
this. I was going to talk about this next year, which is only a week away. Again, a lot of drivers are in LA are seeing a lot of multiplier trips, Chris. A lot. I'm
Mhm.
talking a ton. So that's not happening by a glitch. In the old days, you'd be like, let's sneak
Yeah,
one
you'd
in,
see
and
it
then they go like,
occasionally.
yeah. Yeah. So I'm seeing a lot of multiplier trips going through. So either they're testing it for that exact question that you asked, because if the DOL says so, then we're going to bring this shit around. They're ready to go. Or they're going to bring multiplier back somehow. I don't know why.
Mhm.
There's
Now,
way too many trips happening with multipliers now. So
yeah, I mean, what I think is going to end up happening, and this is just my thoughts. I really think if the DOL rule is changed and things, progress towards that, I can kind of see Uber trying to, finagle their 1, 2, 3 by pulling the same things that they did when it came to trying to circumvent AB5 before Prop 22 came around,
yeah,
with those couple of changes. And personally, honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing them. I wouldn't mind being able to set my own rate. So if I wanted to charge 2x, I'd be able to charge 2x. But that
yeah,
also means that you'd have to bring back, time and distance rates because it has to be coupled to something. You
right,
can't take uh, the same exact ride 2 different times at 2 different prices.
yeah,
Um, that's something you got to figure out there. So I wouldn't mind seeing some of those changes, especially if you have more control as a driver, and then being able to continue as independent contractor,
yeah.
or just say screw these games and just give us what Washington has in the state of Washington, Seattle, and I'm happy there.
Yeah.
But what now? We talked about the Department of Labor with their rule, the FTC investigation that they were talking about. God, when was this now? This a
Yeah,
couple months
3
ago at
months
this
ago.
point, but
Yeah.
they said that they were investigating both Uber and Lyft for claims that they were making on behalf of drivers and earnings, and things like that. So, do you see the FTC making any changes or any rule?
No,
Do they even?
FTC,
I don't even know if
out
they
of
have the clearance besides just maybe fining.
no,
Um,
there's three phases of this. There's local legislatures, there's state, obviously, and then there's federal, right? Federal, has the biggest hammer, but it moves so slow that I don't think FTC, Federal Trade Commission, is going to be able to do much with these companies. If they
hmm,
were going to do it, I think it was mostly talk. Um, I think the most effective pressure that these companies could receive is from the state legislatures, not even local ones. That's what happened in Seattle. That's what's happening in New York City, and that's what they need to face. They need to be brought to the table, as opposed to one way or another. They have to come to the table and figure this shit out, because drivers are human too, man. Right? Drivers are suffering doing these trips without knowing if they're profitable or not. But I think it's time that I'm not a huge fan of the government in any case, but at some point, government's going to protect you from certain stuff that's, this exploitation that people are talking about. FTC is supposed to do that, but I don't think they are. But I think these
hmm.
companies need a wake up call. They've been running this show, having the cake and eating it too for too long. I think they need to get a little slap upside down the head and say, hey, man, this is not going to work out. But other than that, man, I don't think it's business as usual. Uber, you talk to anybody at Uber, or you listen to their conference calls, they're not worried about any of this whatsoever, because they know they're going to spend a few $100 million more to get it tied up in courts, and they're going to live like that.
Yep.
I mean, what else is there? And there was one question somebody asked that was interesting, but it flew by. I'm not used to reading and answering questions, so we need
Well,
to.
I think, no, I think there, and then somebody just put PTL said minimum wage is not the answer, and I agree.
Yeah,
I mean, first of all, if I could go to McDonald's and make minimum wage, or if I could drive rideshare and still have to make minimum wage, but none of my costs for my car are being covered, that's just stupid to stay in rideshare, because now you're actually making less because again, you have to account for those costs. You have to account for
yeah,
your gas. You got to account for your
yeah,
maintenance. You got to account
yeah,
for the car, all of that stuff. So
yeah.
it should never be looked at as minimum wage. It should always be looked at higher than that. And then like looking at that whole DoorDash pay by the hour bullshit, that should like $14 or some places we're seeing like $8 an hour. That could be half of minimum wage. And it's like, how are you going to do it? Plus, you got to remember your costs for your car. You got to pay for it to run. You got to pay for the wear and tear. You got to pay for you got to pay for all that stuff. So it should never be looked at as minimum wage. It should be looked at above that. And then you be able to not only pay for those costs that are going to be associated with your car, but also then for you to be able to live.
Yeah. Well, I a lot of the people who are doing this because of the flexibility part or whatever, if you have a minimum wage job in California, let's say you do, you're getting paid $15.20. That's what minimum wage is in LA County, but in general in California, around $15. If you're a rideshare driver and grossing $21-22 an hour, after your expenses, you're right at 15. But then you don't have a worn out car and a worn out body. So you have to really, really consider these things coming up in 2023. Yeah, as a rideshare driver, you better be pumping out $28 to $32 an hour after your expenses. You're way above minimum wage in California anyway. A lot of different cities, different numbers. If your minimum wage is 12 and you're grossing 18 as a rideshare driver, I don't think you should do rideshare. I think you should go get that minimum wage job because your numbers after expenses is right at that 12, 13 anyway. And you don't have a worn out car. Standing at McDonald's is not going to, we keep saying McDonald's, but we shouldn't be. Any minimum wage job, you're not going to wear out your car. You're just going to go to work, collect your paycheck, go back home. You're not going to drive hundreds of thousands of miles
on top of that, you're also going to get benefits. So, for the most part, for most places, you probably get benefits depending, where you go. So you could be looking at, 401k, you could be looking at paid time off, you could be looking at a lot of different things. So you got to factor all that into it when it comes down to it. If you're going to choose going to get a W-2 versus, the freedom and flexibility, because the freedom and flexibility only gets you so far. But, for me, the thing that I never understood, and maybe somebody in chat can tell me if you're one of these people, but if you're working 50, 60, 70, 80 hours doing rideshare, and you're making, you're probably making pretty good money, but there's no freedom and flexibility in that. Please tell me where the freedom and flexibility is. Because if you're literally just sleeping and driving, where's the freedom and flexibility to turn your app off? Sure, you can turn it off when you got to charge your vehicle if you got an EV, or you got it during the slow times or something, or you turn on a different app. There's a lot more to life than just working rideshare or food delivery or something. So when you're working 50, 60, 70 hours a week, are you making enough?
Look, if you're doing that, you better be bringing in, $2,500 to $3,000 a week, bro, because that's what you're worth. That's a lot of hours. There's one quick question. It goes, this guy asked another question I missed. Boti the Hun, he goes, why don't they just use taxi model time and distance? It's that simple. Are you new to rideshare, buddy? We've been using that until maybe like a few months ago. I wish they brought that back because it was such a simple way to do it. But then they figured out how to reinvent the wheel. Now miles and minutes don't matter because they're not a transportation company. They're a high-tech company.
Well, instead of a circle, a circle, it's got no beginning. It's a circle. But now they said, hey, let's make a square and let that go. So it's like,
that was another good question. Super Sergio, where can you live in California on 15 an hour? Nowhere, Norma, nowhere, unless you're living with six other people in a 2-bedroom. Okay, that's about it. You cannot live on $15 an hour, but there's 30 million plus people in California, and most of them are on minimum wage. I know we have the high-tech industry, we have the movie industry. Look, in California, you have the haves and have-nots. Middle class has disappeared. So either people are making billions or people are making minimum wage. That's about it. And
rational driver. I have an IRA. I have benefits through the ACA too. I probably have a couple other things that I've set myself up. But the thing is, if you don't have an employer match 401k, a 401k isn't great to begin with, but if you're able to get a 5% match, that's extra money on top of it. If you're able to get paid time off, that's something else. So, those are the different types of benefits on top of it too that I'm talking about, not just. And then, some of these bigger companies where you can get stock options and stocks when it comes to benefits back to you. Those are a couple of things that I'm talking about when it comes to different benefits. But again, other people, I'm sure a lot of people who are doing rideshare or food delivery, things like that, probably don't even have that set up. So that's the whole thing. Those are things that people should be looking at. And if they're not already or not contributing to their IRA or anything like that, well, then they're leaving money on the table, especially when it comes to retirement time.
Right. So Boti the Hunt says, not trying to brag. Last year, I cleared 170K work, 9 months working Uber. Okay, there's like that sentence is all broken. So I don't know how you made 170K doing that. But no knock on you. So, my email, Sergio at therideshareguy.com, screenshots, because otherwise it never happened, Boti the Hunt, right? So if you 170K a year is 15K a month, my man. I mean, if you're driving black or something like that, maybe TPC, whatever. But apples to apples, 99% of our viewers are UberX or Lyft Standard. So I don't think you made 170K doing UberX. Now, if you did,
well, the other thing is that's
you're
gross.
not human.
That's
So
not
you hold on, send me the email, send me some screenshots, and then we'll put your heroism up on Show Me the Money Club next year. Sergio at therideshareguy.com. Yeah,
I'd love to see the breakdown. And look, I'm not knocking people who are doing this full time. And hey, if it's benefiting for you, but the whole thing is full time's 40 hours. If you're working more than 40 hours, then you got to figure time. Time is very invaluable when it comes to you can't put a price on time. The time that you spend doing something is time that you cannot get back for something else. So that's a big trade-off to remember. So there's a lot of different things when it comes down to a lot of different aspects. And again, I'm not hey, whatever you got to do to make your money, great. But is it going to be the optimal way for you to actually earn out there? That's all I'm saying when it comes down to it. And if it's not the optimal way, you should probably look at the optimal way. And then other people who are trying to make money, who are in the dead of winter when it comes to the slowdowns that rideshare and food delivery are having because of too many drivers on the road. Well, it's going to help stabilize that, so those drivers who are out on the road can also make money.
Right.
So it's just
so we're settling Boti the Hunt situation here. He drives in Chicago. This year he goes, he's going to be lucky if he broke 100K. So last year he made 170K. This year 100K. Okay. Because I'm late on comments. I'm trying to read the comments. I'm late. So my email, I'm down to that now. My email, Boti the Hunt, is Sergio at therideshareguy.com. Right? Therideshareguy.com, one word, no spaces. Sergio at therideshareguy.com. Then he says, I'll send it to you right now, W2, but please blow out my info. No, I will not blow out your info, if that's what you're saying. And you do not have a W2 with Uber. So as we know, you're not an employee. So we'll see.
Unless he is actually not driving, but actually
actually working at Uber. He's a coder at Uber.
He could be working at Uber, which could be a whole different story. And then yes, I can absolutely go there with you.
No, referrals are not there. Bear clause is not going to work anymore. But
all right, I got one last question for a prediction for you in 2023. I know you touched upon it a little bit when we were talking about it when it came to Uber and Lyft, but do you see Lyft making it through all of 2023?
Yes.
Or do you see a buyout or a bankruptcy claimed within 2023?
I think Lyft will survive 2023. But at the end of 2023, if there is a deep recession, Lyft will not be a standalone entity in 2024. That's my prediction. I think they will survive this year with whatever they have left. But depends on the size of the recession and depth of the recession. And I think in 2024, Lyft will not be a standalone entity. That's it. That's my prediction. All
right. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to a couple of questions, and we're going to wrap up the show pretty soon. But let's go back to the giveaway winner and talk or share who were the winners for the Lean Clean giveaway. So we got 6 units to give away. I want to congratulate Brian from Indianapolis, William from Baltimore, Rahav in Denver, Jeff in Lake Tahoe, Kyle in Los Angeles. We Zoom. Congrats, Nick in Madison. So congratulations, you guys. Again, you will be receiving an email after the show, and will have to contact us within 48 hours with your address. We already have your emails, so don't try to say, hey, I am Brian from Indy. We know what your email address is. So congratulations to our Lean Clean winners. And if you are looking for a Lean Clean for yourself, but you weren't a winner, there is a link in the description that you can go and check out the Lean Clean. And again, like I said, I have one. I was able to use it one time before my crazy winter storm decided to roll through. But yeah, it works pretty well, and it really gets into those nooks and crannies. And then the one thing too that I like that's pretty good is, for my back seats, they're raised up a little bit, but I'm actually able to get really under the seats because of that nice long nozzle that's there. So I can get under the seats too, which is actually nice and gives a little bit more suction power out of it. So it is a pretty cool little thing there. Congratulations to our winners. And again, if you're looking for one for yourself, you can check the link in the description below.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Well,
so
with that said, you know what? Again, this continues next year. Decline garbage, know your worth. If your worth is, I don't know, $15, $16 after expenses, there are other avenues you could check into. I think, RideShare is always going to be there, hopefully, and you can always come back to it. The other thing that I was going to say is, listen, New Year's is coming up. It's going to be hopefully the biggest New Year's in the last 3-4 years because pandemic kind of slowed things down. Please be safe. If you're going to drive, please be safe. Definitely cherry pick. Please do not accept every trip. And hopefully it's bleeding in your city. Safety number one. If you see anything shady going on, please cancel and get the heck out of Dodge. So my partner, Chris, I'm telling you, I wish you melted snow. and then, we had a good run for the last 6 months or ish, 6-7 months. We're going to continue informing and educating. Yep. It's up to you guys to do what you want to do. I'm not going to tell you not to do RideShare. I'm not going to tell you not to do delivery. I'm not going to tell you not to do Instacart. But I want you to do it as a small business of yours. Just like you have a little hamburger stand, you know what your costs are, you know what your food costs are, you know what your employee costs are, you know what your expenses are. Please figure all this out and continue doing what you're doing. And maybe we will come out of this winter that I think is going to be pretty bad for right.
I don't hear you anymore, Sergio. I don't know what happened with Sergio. He's frozen. All right. Well, so we're if Sergio doesn't come back in the next quick minute, then what's going to end up happening is, well, yeah, if Sergio doesn't come back in the next couple of minutes, then we'll wrap this up. We kind of got through what we wanted to, but yeah, if there's any last questions or anything, feel free to send that. Next week, we are going to end up, there he is. Sergio.
Yeah,
how come
I
see you in the center? All right.
I clone myself.
Sergio A and B. Oh, that's how you're getting $50-$60 an hour. You're really only doing about 25 an hour on 2 cars.
That's damn right. Anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
let's see. Let's go over a couple last questions real quick, and then
Okay.
we were going to have a couple other things that we just said we'll do
That's
next week
it.
when it comes to a couple of different things. So
That's it. Yeah.
appreciate you guys hanging out. One other
Thumbs
thing
up.
to remember: January 3rd, the fuel surcharge for gas on Uber is going to go away. So just know that you have one last week of getting that fuel
Norma, no.
surcharge.
You know, Norma, they're trying hard, bro. Trust me. If you knew what I know, they're really trying hard. They're trying hard, bro. It's not gonna work. I'm watching the big bro, so trust me, it ain't gonna work. If it ain't gonna work here, it ain't gonna work anywhere else. Okay, Snoopy, thanks, guys. Okay, thank you, Snoopy. Thumbs up. We
First
appreciate
time.
the support.
Nice.
You know, okay, should we tell them? Okay, we had this like wonderful show planned. We had all these letters from drivers and comments, some complimentary, some definitely not complimentary. We were going to read those and kind of go kumbaya kind of a thing, and then the questions started to fly around, and I go like, screw that shit. we'll do it next year. Because
and the fact that Sergio cannot stick to a formatted schedule in any way, shape, or form.
I can't. And Chris, but look at this. I mean, like here, like there's all these great questions. You know, maybe we were just ignoring all these people. He goes, before you go check your email.
We were definitely watching comments and things like that as the show, but we always had our topics and stuff that we wanted to let you guys know. The other thing too is we are gonna not only are we gonna have our certain comments from viewers and that and emails that we're gonna highlight on next week's, but we'll also do some more questions, and then we'll probably just do a whole Q&A coming up in the next couple of weeks when it comes down to it, where people who are watching the show live can ask their comments and questions. We'll probably throw something up on the community tab beforehand to get questions so we can start with those, and then try to get in as many questions as we can as the show goes on.
Okay, hold on. This guy Boti sent me his email. His earnings. Hold on. Let's see. 2021 Uber 1099. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Those do not add up to 170K.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Gross amount of payment card, third party number. Okay. You first of all, you extrapolated your numbers, and that way it got up to 170. And then, okay, we're going to have to show this to people. Now, this guy worked hard. He did make about 10, 11K on average per month.
So 9 months.
Amount of, yeah, okay. It's not 170K. Yeah, okay. But he did make
probably what the riders paid.
Yeah. Exactly.
When it came all said and done. Yeah. So you probably generated $170,000 to Uber, not necessarily making $170,000 in pocket.
Exactly. But look, still, the numbers are numbers. He did damn well. I mean, he was averaging about 10K a month, and that's still good money. Are you driving? Are you driving Uber X, or are you driving Uber Black, or are you driving some other higher platform, which we would like to know? I will look into these numbers and then get back to you, Boti. We're not knocking you. We think you're working hard. And yeah.
Are you looking up two, or was it just the one?
There's just two. There's two, but I'll have to look at it. I mean, I'll have to look at it more in detail. And
it's
Uber X,
kind of hard when it's on live right now.
Uber X, there you go. He does Uber X in Chicago, and he did 120K.
He's got an Accord hybrid.
No, that's for 2021.
Is absolutely possible.
Yeah.
10K about 2,500 a week.
Yeah, he worked hard though, but that's 2021, not 2022. And he did say himself that for 2022 he may not even break 100. So, okay. I used to do 220 rides a week, but every single bonus. But now I barely do 70. There are reasons for that. Your health is probably shit if you
Oh
did
yeah.
220 trips. So, but no,
Sitting
I'll look
sitting
at the
in the car
numbers.
that
I'll
much.
get in
Yeah.
touch with you. I'll get in touch with you. You know, and hey, man, we're always looking for positive. And hopefully, you saved your money. You did not blow it on some shit. And hopefully, and I'll bet you,
Food.
were you in a rental? I'll bet you he was in a rental too. So if you were in a rental, hey man, you didn't put out wear and tear on the car. So maybe I don't know. Maybe you did come out ahead.
Yeah.
Well,
And then
yeah.
who knows? Maybe next week too. With next week's show, maybe I'll have a new car to talk about.
There you go. There you
Trying
go.
to figure that out.
Yeah.
My Jeep is 10 years old, almost to the date. It's 10 years plus 3 days when I bought it. 2013 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Amazing car. Very little wear and tear, and maintenance actually went into it. Besides, the average. I think I only changed the brakes on it twice out of its entire lifespan, and I only had to get 2 sets of tires, and then just the normal oil changes and all that. But it's getting to the point. 188,000 miles on it, and it's definitely gotten to the point where there's more work that needs to be done on it. That just continues to pile up. So it's like, oh well, I think it's about time, especially with a vehicle that's going to need to be around for a while with the kids. So I don't know. We'll see what happens and figure out what I go with. Maybe another Jeep. We'll see.
Yep. So well, I'm sure you need something for the kids as well. I mean, it's not for a ride share, but you need a family car, right? So your
Yep.
your
Obviously,
circumstances are a little
RideShare will
different.
be in it, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'll do a third row Jeep and then get XL and
There you
comfort
go.
included on that. So
There
we'll
you go.
see.
There you go. So Ahmed Mohammed is in Birmingham, UK. Let's see, it's 8 hours ahead there, so it's like 3 in the morning. Okay, you need to go to bed, Ahmed. But thank you for joining us, man. Much appreciated. See,
Yeah,
there's a
appreciate
good
that.
part. There's also a good part of rideshare. Okay, it's not all bad, people. Here you go. Is it PTI or PTL? PTL sale paid off 25,000 credit card debt from ride sharing last 3 years.
Awesome.
Nothing
Congratulations.
wrong with
That's
any of this,
fantastic.
people. We're just calling it the way we see it. Rideshare is not all evil. Rideshare is not all bad, as long as you know what the f you're doing. As long as you know your cost, you know your business expenses. Rideshare could be very lucrative depending on what city you're in. Look at this Botti guy.
Mhm.
Guy killed it, and hopefully he saved the money.
And
Hopefully it
not
wasn't a
just where you
rental.
are, but strategies.
Yeah, man. He didn't look like he had much strategy. To do 220 trips a week, he pretty much accepted everything and took it the way it goes. Otherwise, you
Yeah.
can't do 220. But
My question to
yeah,
you,
man.
Bodie, besides is how many hours would you average per week online?
Yeah.
That is
Well,
my question to you.
yeah. Well, probably a lot. Okay. But then 2021,
Mario.
Chicago had closures and, pandemic was not gone. And there was a shortage of drivers. And I can pretty much guess that his quests were through the roof. At that time,
Yep.
Chicago had
Okay.
some crazy
Here's a
quests.
comment from Mario. He said he stopped driving for Uber because he's got the problem with the timeout every 3 declined rides.
Yep.
Mario, how many hours are they logging you off for? We've seen the first one that we had with our Dallas driver was 3 hours on the nose. Some people are reporting up to 8 hours. So how long are you doing that? Let us know. Yeah, 70. Okay, so Bodie, you work 70 hours a week. That's a lot, man. I mean, hey, if
Yep.
you're single and whatnot, and you're just trying to hustle out there and make that extra money, more power to you.
Yeah, exactly what I guessed. That was because that
I
was
could
the
definitely do
quest. Yeah.
70.
Yeah. He goes usually 3, but sometimes 8 hours. See, there goes again. Uber. Fuck. I'm gonna refrain. Bro, we gotta fix this shit, bro. This is not a glitch. Here goes another guy. There goes another guy with 3 to 8 hours logging out. And I'm like, is Harry in town yet? Is he back yet? We need to
I
fix
don't
this
think
shit.
I don't think so for a little
We
bit.
need to fix this
Harry,
shit.
if you're watching, you want me to get an EV? We got to talk about an EV credit here.
That's right, Harry. But we also gotta fix this fucking logging out shit for 3
I'll
hours.
sport the RideShare Guy logo on the side too, like a Rapify.
There you go.
thing.
There you go. Yeah, he goes, Buddy says it was all the quests. Yeah, bro. In 2021, the quests
Yeah, that's
were
true. Quests were
quests.
huge.
Quests and CRBs. Remember those CRBs, buddy? Those 3-4-30s, buddy? And
Yeah,
surge on top of
quests were
that. There comes
huge
$60
back
an
then.
hour. So yeah, that's 2021.
Yeah,
But hey, man, again,
2021 was probably the year for rideshare drivers because of the shortages,
by far.
and Uber and Lyft were just dunking money to drivers left and right. So after it started getting a little clearer.
Yep. And Norma says,
Joe Driver, we already met. I don't know if you're behind in the stream or not. We did discuss that where he generated 174 Uber and not in his fares. He said it was around 90,000 that he actually pocketed. So that is where we already talked about that. So I don't know if you're that far. I don't know if you're behind in the show or not. But that was something that we had discussed. So
okay. So yeah, man. Okay, all power to you, my man.
Good job, Bodie.
All power to you. And there is not a damn thing wrong with it as long you take the money and hopefully you open the business. Or it looks like you're still driving, so I don't know. Hopefully, I mean, I don't know how young you are, old you are, but we're gonna all find out because now I'm interested. That's the way to grind it out.
I actually got one last question for Bodie. You said 2021 was your big year. 2022, you're lucky if you're going to break anywhere near that. Are you still working the same exact time, or are you working less? I didn't see if you had changed that or not. Are you still doing 70 hours a week?
Or I'm doing an article on the guy, bro. Just let I'm gonna do an article on the guy. Let's just some suspense go. Okay, I know, Boti, but we're doing the live stream. I can't talk to you on the phone and do the live stream at the same time. So I am always good at calling. So chill out. I'll reach out to you. Don't worry about it. So anything else that we should hit?
No, other than that, all set. So yeah, we'll have a pretty good show next week. We come to kind of like a first of the year show with some of the comments. I haven't read them yet. Sergio had picked them, so I'm not going to read them. It'll be like a first time see, so we can have genuine reaction there, which will be kind of fun. So we'll do that next week. We'll talk about some possible updates or changes or anything like that that may be happening within the week, so we can make sure we stay on top of things for you guys, so any changes that might be coming your way when it comes down to it. And then also some emails that you guys had sent us. Again, I haven't read them, so I'm looking because they were sent to Sergio. So I'll do a genuine reaction when that comes. I like doing that. So
yeah. All right. So be safe out there. Number one. Number two, Happy New Year, Chris. And from the RSG boys to you guys, thank you for your support. Please thumbs up on this one, but you guys do it afterwards anyway, if not now. We seriously, I mean, this is from the bottom of my heart. Okay. For the last 7 months, I've been doing this with Chris. This has been an eye opener for me, right? I mean, it's showed me the good, bad, the ugly parts. I figured those out on my own anyway, but I didn't know that there were guys like Botis out there or Kyle WeZooms or all these people who are on the chat week after week, and all these other drivers who have come out of the woodwork. They have become my eyes and ears, extra set eyes and ears in every single city pretty much in the US. And I appreciate it. We appreciate it. Keep them coming, because without your support, we're not going to keep doing it, because Harry's not paying me enough anyway. So, but I'm passionate about the subject. I'll call it the altruistic side of me. It's not my, because I'm like a bulldog. I have a bone. I'm going to chew on it until the bone is clean. And this bone has a lot more meat on it. That's it. So with that said, Happy New Year. Please be safe.
Yep. Happy New Year. Be safe out there. Eagles. Go Bills. And we'll see you next week.
I'm with Chris now. Go Bills. Bills to win the fucking Super Bowl.
Yes, we got a converter. Hey, you know what? Here's the thing. If the Bills and the Eagles go to the Super Bowl, I told Dustin from Dustin is Driving, I said, hey, we'll have to go to the Super Bowl and watch the game in Arizona. So maybe we'll have to extend the invite to you, Sergio. We could do a live show from Arizona.
It's only 6 hours away, bro. Arizona is only 6 hours away from me, so I'm there. There you go.
All right.
All right.
Well, have a great Happy New Year to you, Sergio, to everybody watching, everybody listening. We appreciate you hanging out. And then, yeah, like I said, if you want to get hold of us for anything, shoot us emails, comments, check them out. Make sure to check them out. And, if we got to address anything, we absolutely will. So with that being said, hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Enjoy this weekend. Be safe, be smart, make good decisions. And we'll see you next week.
Yep.